Abby, I've been wanting to talk to you for so long. And I remember the first time we met. Do you remember the first time we met?
No.
It was at a Christmas party that Catherine Maitland had organised.
Yes,
And
that's right.
you were just the life of the party. You walk in and you know that you're there. You're just happy, laughing, just a bubbly, vivacious human being. See, it's funny. So I remember when I first met you. So there you go. You make an impact, woman. Welcome to the Voice It podcast, showcasing small business owners in the Clare Valley and the mid-north of South Australia who've started from scratch and have turned their business into a success story. I'm your host, Annabelle Homer. You are going to hear all about Abby McKee. She works in the banking industry by day, but by night and in the early mornings and on weekends, she runs a side hustle called Magnolia and Co. She creates the most beautiful flower arrangements for weddings and events. And believe it or not, she was unaware she even had this talent. It popped up by accident. You'll hear all about that later. In this episode, you'll also find out about the early days for Abby, her life in Scone in New South Wales, her uni days at Wagga, where she met her husband. That's a very funny story. And finally, how she ended up in Clare. Abby loves her day job, but she has a big vision for Magnolia and Co, with plans to delve into garden and home design. So before we talk about the future, we need to find out what makes this girl tick. What's her story? Enjoy the journey with Abby McKee. Before we talk about Magnolia and Co and how that all came to be, let's go straight back to the beginning, because you're not a Clare Valley local. You weren't born here. You're not even from South Australia. So where did life begin for you, Abby?
I grew up in a little town in New South Wales called Scone. So it's a beautiful town. My family still live there. I'm very fond of it. We're sitting in my big lounge room and I've got an original painting by a beautiful local artist, Alexia, and that is the view of from my homestead at home. So I come from a horse stud. My dad and my brother still run the stud, and it was a beautiful way to grow up. So I'm a country kid, and I met my husband at university. Very funny story. In dining hall, it was like a big gymnasium type situation. We're all like we're in jail and we're eating at the mess hall. And I'm thinking, what am I doing in this bloody shithole? It's like week 2 or something.
Which uni is this?
Charles Sturt.
Oh, okay. This is in
Wagga.
In Wagga.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful place. Lovely, great uni and great people. But anyway, I was like, what the heck am I doing here? I'd just come from boarding school in Sydney and I was just a little bit of a wally, a bit, ahead of myself. I definitely needed to be taken down a few pegs. And I was sitting there and I was like, oh, Jesus, this place is pretty rough. And I was craving a Milo and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I get some Milo. There's a big, gigantic tin of Milo. I'm like, I'll have a Milo. That'll make me feel better. And I'm looking around and I'm trying to find the spoon for the Milo. And I'm like, oh, there's no spoons. Oh, God, of course there's no spoons. And then this young man, Angus McKee, my husband, is like, oh, what are you looking for? And I was like, oh, I'm looking for a spoon. And he brings back a fork. And I'm like, he's either really stupid or really interesting, because he's like, okay. So I was like, no, I want a spoon. Like, what am I meant to do with the fork with my Milo? He goes, oh. And then we started talking.
So it was a joke. He meant it as a joke, right? Okay,
he was
just
trying
checking.
he was clearly like, how am I going to approach this girl? Anyway, so we fast forward, I think we've been together 15 years or something, but I moved to Clare probably roughly in 2008. But then I was sort of back and forward a little bit. Yeah, so I've been here a good 10 years, and it's a beautiful community. I have the most beautiful friends like you, and I'm very blessed. Angus's family here, so we've got lots of love and support in our lives. So we're very lucky. But I do miss home and my family. So yeah.
So your dad and brother still run the Horse Stars?
Yeah.
Where's your mum?
My mum she's in sort of Western New South Wales, so she lives out there. And then my sister is in like the Hunter Valley, which is like what we call New South Wales, meaning we New South Wales people call like the vineyard. So that she lives sort of just out of Cessnock. So Cessnock's a bit of a rough place, but she doesn't live there, so thank God.
There's that boarding school coming out of you.
She's a beautiful person. She's 3 boys under 5. She's like a really sort of lovely earth mother type person. She's studying to be a teacher, and she's really intelligent and lovely. And my brother is great as well. He's an agronomist, but he works on our family farm, really close to my siblings.
How has it been with COVID and not being able to see them?
Yeah, it's tough, you know, but I've been super blessed. So Shirley, I should mention Shirley. Shirley is the rock star in my life. She's my nan, and she's like the best person ever. She's quite dry. She's got a quite dry wit. She's pretty, she doesn't really mince words, very practical woman. And like, she's a very important force in my life, and she had a few heart things while we were amongst the COVID, and I obviously couldn't go home, and that was a bit distressing. But she's really well now, and it's a beautiful story. She was able to come. She flew over in March in one of the, you know, because our borders have been locking like it's hot, and then, you know, back and forth, and, you know, so she was able to come and see Luckhurst, and it was just beautiful for her to come and see where I'm living. And we sold a house and renovated a house to buy our home now, and for her to be able to see that, and that was really special because she's 84, and I thought I might lose her. So that was really good.
She's well now?
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, we're talking, gardening is a huge passion of mine, and it is part of the Magnolia sort of business, and she's really impressive, and she has had a beautiful rose garden and made this amazing sort of cottage garden. And then Scone is a very lush kind of high rainfall area, but then unfortunately we're hit with 5 of the worst years drought in history, of the longest and worst drought in 95 years. So that lasted 5 years, and then lost almost all her garden. But in the true kind of Shirley style, she was like, right, well, I'll only plant what survives the drought. I'll only do native. I'll have to rework all this because I'm 84 and I can't do all this stuff. You know, she lives on a cottage on our farm, but like my brother has a cup of tea with her every day. So like there's no shortage of people to mow her lawn and stuff, but she's an independent woman, so she likes to do her own thing. So she's like, okay, well, so she's replanted lots of natives and done it, and it looks amazing. But from a very sort of sculptured English garden, you know, English roots, I guess, to now what she's done is just, yeah, so it's quite impressive. But that's probably where I get all my love of gardening, and we did lots of, you know, digging holes together, and even things like I'd be like, oh, shit, I need, like, Nan, my plants are not growing as well as yours. And she'd be like, well, are you like, when you get them out of the pot tub from the plant, do you like loosen the roots, and are you making sure that they're wet when they go in and everything like that? And I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing that.
Thank goodness for you, Shirley. You wouldn't be where you are today.
No,
without
absolutely
Shirley.
not. So no. She's very special. So yeah.
Just going back to uni, what did you study at uni?
I did accounting. I didn't complete it. So I maybe did a couple of years of different things, trying to work out what I wanted to do. None of them really tickled me. I'm not an accountant, unfortunately. I do work at a bank, which I love that job, but that's a lot of people stuff, which I really enjoy. I enjoy business, but I necessarily am not an accountant.
So what did you finish doing?
I didn't finish anything.
So you just went for fun?
Well, yeah. I did 2 years of like, oh no.
Met the man at the Milo tin, and then that was it.
And then I was like, oh, well, no, I'm not going to do that. And oh no, that's not working for me. So then I went home to the farm, worked for my dad, and that was great. I loved it. And then I was like, oh, I'll come over here. And then I just sort of was like, I can't be doing nothing with my life. I can't work just doing bits and pieces. I need to sort of probably focus on getting a career. So I sort of started working with like in a winery, and then I sort of did a bit of sales and marketing roles, you know, because I love talking to people and I love people. So I was like, okay. And then I got my job at Beyond Bank, which I love. So do sort of, you know, lots of different stuff there, but it's very varied and I really enjoy it. And it gave me the opportunity to start Magnolia and Co. So
gave you that business mind too, I
presume. It's been incredible that my position that I have at Beyond Bank is like they're an incredible company, but they're also it's an incredible it's been incredible for my growth, because I've learnt so many skills and I'm very skilled at what I do now, but I had none of those skills to start with. So all of what I've learnt by rope. So I'm very like a do it person, and I'll learn and it'll be fine. And so university probably wasn't great for me, but I probably will go back and finish my business degree, because it sort of makes sense. I am in business and I'm also working in a role where I'm helping businesses. So with Beyond Bank, I think it does make sense that I do it. It was my dad's suggestion that I started, and then I thought he was, what the hell does he know, because I'm 18-year-old chump. And then, well, he actually knew a lot. So I'll probably return to that, you know.
Oh, you know, in your spare time, you know, between a full-time job plus running a business on the side. Good luck, Abby. Never do things by halves. I keep backtracking a bit because of the little things that you say, but you said, I was at this uni, in the mess hall, wondering what on earth am I doing here? I came back from boarding school and I needed to be brought down a peg. Why did you need to be brought down a peg?
I think because when you I think life's really good like that. It does keep you. I love people and I love all people, and I think I'd become quite, you know, a little bit I was sort of starting to become cocooned in a bubble of, you know, privilege, and, you know, I hate entitlement as an attitude, and I think maybe I was becoming a little bit like that. You know, I was surrounded by a lot of wealth and I had no idea about the real world. You know, my parents weren't overly wealthy. You know, I was from a farm that they'd done well, but my family had bought the farm and everything was, you know, a juggling act for them. But I guess that fast forward many years and there's been great success on the farm, and I'm very proud of all of they've achieved. But I certainly had lost sight of where I came from a little bit, I think, and I just needed to be. It was great that I ended up in Wagga. I was exactly where I needed to be. There was a lot of lovely people there and I had great experiences, and I grew up a little bit and became a little bit more wiser to the world, and I met my beautiful husband, so that was lovely.
Where did you get married?
We got married at Hillsview with the beautiful boys at Hillsview. That is such an amazing venue. In Auburn, just out of Auburn, there's a beautiful barn where we got married, and our ceremony was also there. So it was like, okay, so I get entirely hot. Like I run like you never believe. So it's 24 degrees and that's probably about good for me. You know, when it's 35, I'm cooking. So I have lots of beautiful friends and I'm always like, it's too hot, I can't come out. Like if it's over a certain temperature, I'm like, sorry, I'm not coming. So, you know, so we got married in winter. And so with the absolute Grady, Angus's cousin, my friend, she did an amazing job planning our wedding. It was like amazing. And like I was so lucky to have her there and doing so much for me. I was very grateful for that. But anyway, it was a really good wedding and the theme was furs and bow ties, and we got married in July. And I feel like this is a bit of a metaphor for my life. It's July, it's probably going to rain, so like we've prepared for that. You know, we've got heaters, everything's undercover. There's no issue if it rains, because it probably will. It's July. No, the sun came out and it was a beautiful day, and it rained in the morning, and then it was just the most magic day. And everyone, it was so...
I thought you were going to say, it's the middle of July, it was a random heat wave swept through. That would have been 35 and we're all in fur coats and bow ties.
That would have been a debacle, Belle. I would have to say... everyone go home, stop the press. But no, that was a special day for me in my life, because as we mentioned before, I'm from Scone, and basically everyone I love is never in one room. And Angus's gran, who's since passed, she was there, my nan was there, all my family had made all these, so everyone had travelled long distances to be there. There were a lot of people who made a lot of effort, and that was super special. So that was great.
What was your first take on Clare, or the Clare Valley, when you first moved here?
Well, to be honest, I was like, what the hell is this place? Because I didn't know anyone. I had and I had a bit of a bad experience. I thought, well, I play sport. That's how people meet people. And I'd sort of didn't know anyone, and had gone to this club and ended up getting dropped from my team. And because I worked on Saturdays, it meant I couldn't play, and I was not great at the whole sport thing. I was like, oh, it's raining, do we have to play? And they're like, it's a winter sport, it's like, clearly this is not where I belong. So I was like, right, well, and sport is a huge part of our community, and I love, I admire people who can play sport, but that's not me. So I was like, well, I rang my dad, I'm very close to, and I said, Dad, I was crying, and I said, Dad, I'm not going to be able to make it here. Like, this place, I'm not going to make it here. And he goes, you can make it anywhere. He said, you'll be fine. You got to hang tight, be yourself, and it'll be okay. And I was like, oh God. But I've made the most beautiful friends, and we have the most beautiful friends, don't we? And we have a great life, So it was certainly.
How long did it take to get to that point?
I reckon it took probably a good 2 to 3 years. Yeah. To find
your people.
Yeah, yep. And all of the people that I know are some way my people, but my really close, beautiful friends, like, that took a fairly long time for me to sort of find them, and I guess friends and stuff, like Angus's mum and dad are so good to me, and his uncles and aunties and all of that. So his cousins we're very close to them. So that's, I feel like I've got a family here, which I'm really lucky. But yeah, all of that contributes to me being able to feel secure and supported, and then therefore I can sort of start to build this thing and go out on a limb and do it, because I felt like I've got all these people who they're not going to shoot me down. They're with me. They're supporting me. I can do this, So
did Angus want to come back here because his family was here?
Well, he grew up in Adelaide, but he grew up a lot of time spending here, and he loves Clare. He just loves it. He's the biggest advocate for it. Like, he's a quiet, like, very, like, nice sort of man, but he's also can be very firm, and his hard line was that we had to live in Clare. So he loves this place. What was it about Clare? I think it's his family. Like, he's got deep roots here. His mum grew up here, and he spent a lot of his childhood coming up here with his cousins, and I think he just intrinsically loves this place.
How random that he ended up in Wagga at uni.
Yeah, because he was doing winemaking there, and so that's crazy. But yeah,
things happen for a reason. I'm a big believer in that.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about Magnolia and Co.
Okay.
Do you remember the moment when you thought, I'm going to start a small business on the side while I still work full-time at Beyond Bank? Do you remember that moment as to why you did that?
Well, I've always thought I want to do something. I want to be something. I want to make something of myself. I'm from a family, like, my dad bought a farm. He had he was a farmer's son, but he'd never been a horse stud, and he'd had a trade, and he's a really clever man that could just pick up anything. But he had no formal training for what he undertook. He just thought, I really want to do this. I'm going to buy this place, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. And he did it. So he worked really hard. He had his own job. He had a job in the mines to pay for the farm. So he worked 4 12-hour shifts, and then he'd work the farm and build the business with my mum at the same time. So there was a lot of hustling going on. So I grew up that way. I grew up with, you have to work hard and you have to earn what you get, and I always thought I'd end up doing something like that. Like, I thought,
so you weren't doing something that you were passionate about, and there was a gap. There was a whole...
I love what I do at work, but it was just like I didn't feel like there was a creative outlet that I could sort of be, and so it's a great story. Like, my brother was getting married to my sister-in-law, lovely Jess. Anyway, we'd organised, maybe 6 to 8 months out that the flowers would be done by the local florist in Scone, who's Jane, which I think it's since changed, Chocolate Moss, but she was amazing, lovely lady. Anyway, weddings have lots of details, don't they? And people just sometimes overlook some details. So we got to about 2 weeks out, and we knew that we would just have to put some flowers in some jars, and that, that's not overly complicated. And then it was like, Jane's like, no, I'm completely on holiday. I'm not doing the bouquets at all type thing. And we were like, oh.
Sugar.
Yeah. And like, my sister-in-law is lovely, and I'm very family orientated. So I was like, right, well, I reckon I can do this. I'll YouTube it, something better than nothing type thing. And I was like, I'll help you out. I'll do it. And I was like, I've never done it before, but I'll give it a go, and also we've got nowhere to go, so let's just go with that. So
it's better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was like.
Only way is up.
Only way is up. And I thought, flowers are beautiful. Really, other than butchering them, what can you do? Anyway. So Jane kindly gave me the keys to the florist in Scone, and then I sort of went and was able to use her pass and went to the Sydney Flower Market, and went there at whatever time of the morning and got all the flowers. And right, so we had the flowers, so we were coming back. It's about 3 hours drive from Sydney to Scone. So we're like, right, well, let's okay. So I've got the flowers, and the sheer panic I'm feeling is intense.
Oh, I'd be stressed out of my
mind. And I was like, I've YouTubed a bit, and whatevs, but like, it's on me. I've said I've got this. Anyway, I'm like, shit, I hope I've got it. We get to the florist, we unpack I do all the things that Jane told me to do to, enjoy. And, mind you, it's January, it's hot as hell. I'm so worried about the flowers. So I'm, doing everything. And then so the next day, wake up, didn't sleep that night, wake up, and I'm like, got to do it. I've got to make this happen. How the heck do I? Anyway, I did it, and they were spectacular. And my love of it all came alive. It intrinsically came out of me. I absolutely found my thing. I'd found my thing. Anyway,
by
so
accident.
I was like, by total accident, by sheer need. And I was like, okay, oh my God, I absolutely love this. And then, so I was also a bridesmaid in the wedding, and I was like Adolf Hitler about the flowers. So we were like, it's hot, and we're like in the, we're on the farm, and my brother's obviously very connected to the farm and got married on the farm. So we're getting different spots and getting photos taken at different spots. And anyway, I'm like, get me your flowers, put them in the car, air condition, crazy. And I was like, so that's how it all started. And then it just all intrinsically, it just felt right. I love it. And I just could do it.
So you went home, you thought, this is where the next stage of my life begins.
Yeah, well, no.
Did it start like that, or
it was just like
baby steps?
It was like, my auntie goes to me, oh my God, I can't believe you did this. I can't believe you actually can do this. Like, what? How did you do this? And I was like, I don't know. I just did it. And then I was like, I can do this. I thought about it, and I was like, I want to do something that I'm able to do out of my work hours. I want it to be about flowers because I love flowers. I clearly love being a florist. Anyway, so, and I thought, what do I do? How do I make this happen? So I was like, right, well, I need to get a brand. I need to, get my sort of stuff off the ground. I need to, work out, where do I go to get the flowers? What do I charge for the flowers? All the things that you have to work out, obviously, because I obviously had no training. No, I've never done a course. I've not done anything like that. It's all intrinsically coming out of me, and it's all, I just work it out. So I'm like, okay, trial and error. Yeah, I like that logo. Then I connected with this gorgeous girl, Victoria, from St. Lane's Designs, and she designed my logo. And then we just sort of clicked, we're just two little peas in a pod in terms of events and styling and design, and our ideas and our creative juices just kind of gel.
So you've formed a synergy,
and
now
that
you work
started
together.
quite early, and so I'm we work together a bit, and that's great. But I guess I don't know. I just was like, heck, what have I got to lose? Like, why don't I give it a go? Who cares if I fail? If nothing's ventured, nothing's gained. And always wanted to do something, and this is my thing. Like, I'm into like homewares and design and all that sort of stuff. I'm just naturally quite a creative soul, and I was like, what the heck?
And you did try and learn or get a mentor to try and give you some tips, but at the end of the day you thought, no, I think I like this business being uniquely about my style.
Exactly. So there's a beautiful man, Robert, who he owns a big house behind Clare, and he's like in the 80s, he was like an iconic florist. He made $1 million out of flowers. So that's in the 80s. So he's an incredibly successful, incredible man, really, really interesting. I found out about his skills, and I didn't ring him up, actually. My friend did, which was very kind of her. So she was beautiful. She's like, why don't we, Robert asked us to go up there, he'll give you a lesson. And I was like, that'd be amazing. So anyway, so off we toddled, and we had cake and had cups of tea, and he showed me, and he goes to me, oh my God, so what do you think about how you're doing that? And I said, I don't know. And he goes, well, you're very awkward. This is not clean. This is a bit of a mess. It's a hot mess type thing. And I was like, well, okay, fair enough. And I was like, can you show me how to do it? And, there was definitely some great tips that he gave me, but I also was like, in that moment, I realised, you know what? I am a little bit awkward. I'm a bit of a dag. I'm not coordinated. It's never going to be clean. It's never going to look graceful. I'm just going to do it how I'm going to do it, because that's what I'm going to do, because no one's teaching me. This is my style. This is my design. This is me. I'm just going to do it the way I want to do it. This is the pure luxury of having this business. I'll just do what I want to do. People are going to come to me because this is my style. I'm going to just do me, and if they like it, they're going to come. And if they don't, they don't.
Do you have moments, Abby, where you think back, because it has been 3 years since you started the business, do you have moments where, oh my goodness, I'm getting paid for something that I love to do. I've just taught myself how to do this. People obviously love what I do. Do you have those oh wow moments, or oh shit moments, or whatever you want to call it? God, I'm good. Gee, I really took a giant leap, and it has paid off.
Annabelle, something about me is I never look back. I always look forward. So
do you ever reflect though?
I reflect that I just feel like it's such an opportunity. I'm grateful for the opportunity to make it happen. Like everyone has talent. There's thousands of people we know that are incredibly talented people, incredibly intelligent people. Actually, we're all good, aren't we? But it's about the hustle. It's about working hard, but it's also about like being in the right place at the right time. And it's also, but I just reflect and think I'm really grateful for the opportunity. I never think I've slayed it, because I'm not a slayer. I just do, and I am a quiet achiever that just does, and I don't want to scream from the rooftops that I'm amazing and all that sort of stuff. That I admire people who are like that, but that's not me. I'm a person who just works hard and hopes that my work is really seen to be good. I want to be judged by what I do, and how I act and who I am, rather than, I'm not someone who there are moments where I think, shit, pinch me, I'm lucky to be able to do this, but I never think, oh shit, I'm good. That's not me. And I do think I'm learning stuff. Oh God, I can see a progression here. Like I'm faster. I'm getting better at this. I'm like, that I always want to see progress, and I also want to achieve. Like I always want to be further along than where I am right now. Like I think that I deeply want to be the person that sits down and says, God, I'm so happy with where I'm at. I am happy with where I'm at, but I'm always like, geez, I could be better. So
that's good. I think that's good to think like that, because you're always striving for the next thing. I guess you're never satisfied at where you are at the time though, but it's kind of exhausting really. So I love the fact that when I first came to your house and you were renovating it or had just finished renovating parts of it and you said we had to buy this place because there was a dungeon. This is where I'm going to do my flowers. I love the flower dungeon.
Yeah. This beautiful old home has got it's a 2-story, which is amazing. So we've got a big cellar and a big rompus room underneath, which I've commandeered as my flower dungeon. So there's these big old slate steps that you can see 1,000 people have walked down there, like they're worn away and beautiful. And then so you pop down the steep steps down to the flower studio. So that's where all the magic happens. So I'm just like constantly, because I got, it's late at night, early mornings, and, I've already hustled all day at work. So I'm always got the tunes playing and I'm creating. I'm very happy there. But there's a lot of hustle happening there. So you got to have, and I'm a very I love to have fun. I'm very outgoing. And so I love music. And music's a bit of a companion down there because there's an element, every small business owner feels it, of fatigue. You're pushing your absolute self to the limits. It might be 1:00 in the morning and you're still working and you've just got to do it and you've got to perform the next day at your job because you owe that to them and you owe it to yourself to perform at this point, and you're just constantly juggling. But it's hard work, it's a grind, and you're grinding it out. So, and I grind it out in my flower studio with my music blaring, and my husband, God love him, he's like, he's as much part of my success as I am, and he says often, like, he'd be like, "Oh, Abs, I'm just letting you know I've stripped your flowers for you," and so he just takes the edge off, and we're a really good team, and I couldn't do what I do without him. So yeah, he's amazing, and I couldn't have launched the business because he's such a hard worker and he's such a quiet achiever too, and he just, he'll just do all these amazing things for me. Like he'll be like, "Oh, I have lots of obviously green waste," and he'll be like, "Right, I've swept your floor, I've put water in your buckets and I've emptied your bins." And I'm like, "Oh, man, you're the dream boat. That's an hour I don't have to do." He's amazing, and I couldn't do it all without him.
Do you recall an event or even a day where it was probably the most challenging out of your small business career?
I think the most challenging day I've ever had is we're both part of the CWA, and we were doing our 250 long lunch, and Walter Duncan had kindly donated his roses, and I was doing the flowers for this event, and I got to Walter Duncan's and there was half the amount of roses we were meant to have, and just through miscommunication and whatever anyway, and I had to really regroup, think about how was I going to do this, and there was a huge amount of arrangements to do, a huge amount of work, and then this beautiful lady, Pat Casey, she helped me. So I was like, what am I going to do? Like, we're part of the CWA, it's a beautiful group of women from all ages, and I was like a bit peaking. I had to schedule, trip to Adelaide that I hadn't planned for, and there was a fair bit going on in that moment, and I just thought, actually, this could be a pretty public failure. I could publicly fail here. This could be diabolical. But you know what? You've got everyone here trying to help you. You're supported. You can do this. This is your moment, Abby. You either stand up and you do it or you don't. And it dies. Like you're going to have to explain why Magnolia is not everywhere, and that was a huge success. That was one of my greatest moments, because I managed to, it nearly killed me, but I delivered an incredible product. It was an amazing event and it looked amazing. It was like it was the most stunning thing. Like, it was just singularly beautiful, and it was just great to be part of. And at the end of the day, I had to step up and rise, and if I didn't rise, then that would have been a disaster. But I did, and it was a stellar success, So it was
it was beautiful arrangements. You did such a good job.
It was amazing.
But putting a downer on it though, then didn't you break your foot that night?
Yep, I did.
Was it on the dance floor? I can't remember.
No, I was down the steps, and had a few drinkies and.
So hugely successful day, not such a hugely successful evening.
But that's okay, because you no point getting kind of hung up on that. Life's like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a moment, you're a fucking rock star. The next minute, you're not. You're in the moon boots. And that's okay. So I guess, that's just life, isn't it?
Oh, love it.
I guess the one thing that I would like to say about Magnolia is like my vision for that is obviously I'm doing flowers now. I'm a very passionate gardener, and I'm actually learning about landscape design, and I've obviously designed my garden. It's about 1 acre, and it's a slow, it's bit by bit. We've put a circular driveway in, and we're sort of, bit by bit we'll get there. Part of my business, I want it to be all about me, and it's uniquely me, but I would like to expand it to help people with their gardens, like designing them. I'd also like to help people style their homes. And obviously I love the flowers and events, and that gives me great joy as well. But I would like it to be just bigger than one thing. I think it needs to be several moving parts for it to be successful in the future.
So where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? So it's not all about the flowers. Where do you see Magnolia and Co and yourself?
That's a hard one, because
Then.
I like to think I'll still be at Beyond Bank because I love it there. I would like to see Magnolia's growth. I'd like to see it grow. I'd like to see it, hit a certain profit level. I'd also like to see it expand into those other avenues that I mentioned. I just get so much joy out of seeing trees grow and gardens growing and flowers growing, and it's
So instead of doing business, you should be doing landscape design. Don't go to uni and do business. You already know all about that.
I am sort of studying a little bit of that at the moment, but I haven't been committed to it as I should be. So hopefully I finish it soon. It's been a while. So,
That's exciting. That's really exciting.
Yeah. So that was actually Olivia Barry's idea, but it's worked out. I've obviously got a bit of a knack for it, and I love it. So.
Capitalize on it.
Yeah. So I think, to be honest, I feel like Magnolia is really the world's its oyster, because there's so many ways and it can go, but I'm a big believer. I talked about it, it's intrinsically, you just do what you do and you go about it, and the opportunities come and you got to take them, and whatever happens, whoever I meet, like that's the great thing about life. It's, you meet people and you zing with them or you don't zing with them, and they form, your life isn't completely mapped out. It's all about your experiences, and I'm super excited about what the future might hold for me. I don't know. So that's fun. That's exciting. So the challenge and the change that will happen, who knows really?
Well, it's been an honour to hear your story, Abby, and it is. I love hearing where you came from and the journey that you've been on, and I appreciate you sharing it on the Voice It podcast today.
Thank you, Belle.
So excited to see where you're taking Magnolia and Co, Abby. I am happy to scream your success from the rooftops, even though you don't want to. Well done. Thank you for sharing your story. If you liked Abby's story and enjoyed this episode, please rate and review. I check every day. All the details about Magnolia and Co are in my show notes, so are all the details about my little business Voice It. I'm a voice coach, help teenagers and adults with their public speaking skills. I'm also a podcaster and create audio memoirs for families. So get in touch if any of these topics interest you. Catch you soon for another episode of the Voice It podcast.